Hey everyone! We are working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy the content and it is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button right now as we proceed. Subscribe to this channel right now because the spring training news cycle just delivered two developments in the same 24-hour window that together paint a picture of a Blue Jays pitching staff situation that is considerably more complicated and considerably more fragile than anyone in the fanbase fully appreciated heading into this week. The first development involves Ricky Tiedemann, the left-handed flamethrower who came into this spring carrying genuine momentum from a health update that had everybody excited, and who is now dealing with elbow soreness that sent him for an MRI and has shut him down for approximately a week. The second development is in many ways more impactful. Trey Savage, the young ace who became a national story during last year's postseason run, is being managed with a level of deliberate, cautious, innings-conscious care that strongly suggests his workload in 2026 is going to be significantly more limited than the majority of the fanbase assumed. Both stories, when placed in their proper context, explain something that has been slightly puzzling observers: why the Blue Jays are carrying this many starting pitchers, why the Max Scherzer pursuit continues gaining momentum despite a rotation that already looks full on paper, and why Eric Lauer's situation is more nuanced than a simple trade-him-for-bullpen-help transaction. Let us start with Tiedemann. He came into spring carrying everything Blue Jays fans had been hoping he would carry: genuine momentum, a health status described in unambiguously positive terms, and the excited forward-looking energy of a pitcher who has cleared the psychological and physical hurdle of Tommy John surgery rehabilitation. Just last week he was telling reporters that everything feels great, that it is just about seeing live batters and getting that competitive feel back, and that health-wise everything has been money. Those were his words. And then, within days of those optimistic comments, elbow soreness arrived with timing that makes every emotionally invested Blue Jays fan feel a very specific and very familiar type of concern. He went for an MRI. The MRI showed nothing structural. He will take approximately 1 week off before ramping back up. The nothing structural result is the most important piece of this update and needs to be held firmly at the front of any analysis that follows. In the context of a pitcher with Tiedemann's history, Tommy John surgery, bone chips removed from his left elbow during rehabilitation, multiple interruptions to his developmental timeline, the fact that imaging revealed no structural damage separates this episode from the kind of elbow news that ends careers. The Blue Jays medical team identified the soreness quickly, moved to imaging immediately, and received a clean result. That is the organizational infrastructure functioning exactly as it should. That said, the fact that we are talking about his elbow again deserves honest acknowledgement. Tiedemann has not been fully healthy and consistently available for 2 years. His 2024 numbers, a 5.19 ERA split between AAA and rookie ball, reflect a pitcher whose body was not in a position to support the performance his talent has always suggested he is capable of producing. Nothing structural is excellent news. But the accumulation of interruptions is a pattern requiring careful management, and 1 week of rest is the first step in managing it correctly. The path forward, building up in a bullpen role in 2026 while positioning him for a starting rotation transition in 2027, remains intact. Slightly delayed, but intact. Now let us pivot to Trey Savage, because this is the story carrying more significant immediate implications for how the 2026 season unfolds. The report is direct. Savage is still approximately 1 week away from pitching in a Grapefruit League game, and the Blue Jays are building him up deliberately following a considerable workload and significant jump in competitive activity in 2025. Rotation turns could be skipped. Outings could be pushed back. The management approach will respond to how his body recovers between appearances rather than adhering to a fixed schedule. To understand why this matters so much, you have to look at what Savage actually did last year. He did not simply pitch at the major league level for part of a season and make a couple of postseason appearances. He progressed through multiple minor league levels, low A, high A, accumulating significant innings throughout, then arrived at the major league level and pitched in a World Series. He went from a player whose reasonable spring projection this time last year was maybe a few September call-up starts, to a player pitching in a World Series game by November. The jump in competitive activity was not gradual. It was vertical. And the Blue Jays are treating that reality with the seriousness it deserves rather than assuming a healthy young arm can absorb unlimited demands because the talent and competitive desire are obviously present. The organizational language emerging from camp is specific and intentional, not standard baseball boilerplate about being smart with innings, but explicit acknowledgement that going from drafted minor leaguer to World Series contributor in a single season creates physical and developmental considerations that simply handing Savage a 32-start, 200-inning season would dangerously ignore. Rotation turns will be skipped. Outings will be pushed back based on real-time measurables. This is exactly the kind of long-view decision-making that distinguishes organizations that develop stars from organizations that burn through promising arms before they reach their potential. The mathematical reality this creates for the rotation is the piece the fanbase needs to fully understand. If Savage is skipping turns periodically throughout the season in response to how his body is recovering, the Blue Jays need rotation depth capable of absorbing starts on short notice. That need reshapes the entire conversation about why they are carrying so many starting pitchers and why the Scherzer pursuit makes not just sense but arguably becomes necessary. Having Scherzer available as a flexible starting option means that when Savage's turn gets pushed back, the Blue Jays are handing the ball to a 3-time Cy Young Award winner rather than crossing their fingers with a replacement-level arm on a Tuesday night in April. The depth Scherzer represents is exponentially more valuable in a world where your most exciting young starter has variable availability than in a world where 5 arms go on regular every 5th day turns without interruption. The Eric Lauer situation is similarly recontextualized by this Savage news. The simple narrative, Scherzer arrives, Lauer gets traded, bullpen gets a piece, assumed a rotation deep enough with Savage as a full participant that Lauer was genuinely surplus. The more nuanced reality is that with Savage being managed carefully, Bieber delayed until late April or May, and Berrios still proving his health after a bicep tendon issue affected all of last season, the Blue Jays potentially start the year needing every available starting option they have. Lauer's Swiss Army knife flexibility, the quality that ironically cost him his arbitration case, looks considerably more important in a rotation with variable availability than it does when 5 arms are assumed to be fully healthy and consistently available. The trade conversations remain real and the organizational logic for moving him when the right deal presents itself remains intact. But the timing may have shifted meaningfully with this new Savage information. The broader rotation picture assembles as follows. Gausman and Cease anchor everything as legitimate top-of-the-rotation starters. Savage provides electric young ace upside under careful innings management. Scherzer arrives in late April or May providing veteran insurance and genuine competitive quality. Berrios, finally healthy, brings third starter upside if the health status he is describing holds. Bieber adds depth from late April or May onward. Ponce bridges the early season while delayed arms get ready. Mako waits in AAA as the first call-up option when inevitable openings emerge. And Lauer, trade talks notwithstanding, provides flexible veteran insurance whose value in this specific context is higher than the depth chart alone suggests. The spring training results alongside all of this organizational news include Jesus Sanchez going 1 for 3 in his spring debut, Leo Jimenez and Josh Casevic getting valuable extra repetitions with World Baseball Classic departures creating space, Davis Schneider continuing his bubble player evaluation, and Dalton Varsho quietly having one of the best springs in camp, a detail that deserves recognition from a fanbase that knows how important his versatility is to how this roster functions. Kazuma Okamoto continues integrating beautifully with the veteran core, his friendship with Guerrero Jr. and Springer developing in exactly the way the organization hoped when they signed him. The picture assembling from Dunedin is one of an organization managing genuine complexity with genuine competence. There are real concerns. Tiedemann needs to stay healthy, Savage needs to thrive within his constraints, Berrios needs to validate his health claims, Scherzer needs to deliver on his veteran promise. But the organizational responses to the challenges being revealed are the responses of a front office thinking clearly about what it is managing and making decisions that prioritize long-term health and sustained competitiveness over short-term optics. That is exactly what you want when the stakes are this high for a team that made the World Series last year and is trying to go back and win it. Drop everything you are thinking in the comments right now. Are you concerned about Tiedemann, or does the clean MRI keep you patient? Does the savage workload revelation make Scherzer feel less like a luxury and more like a necessity? And how do you feel about carrying this much pitching depth into the regular season? Get into the comments immediately, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share this video with every Blue Jays fan you know. This spring is moving fast. Let us go Blue Jays.